Bears getting ready for a giant challenge Sunday. But will they have their own giant in the middle of their defense? And does Rome Odunze want out? We'll ask Rome about his dad's demands on social media. Plus, Cassie Carlson joins us from Hallis Hall. The 6-1 Bulls are the surprise of the NBA. Can they keep it up? And when is Coby White coming back? CHSN's Bulls reporter Casey Johnson joins me on set. And how about the Cubs? They want Shota Imanaga and Kyle Tucker back, but do they really? Or are they just covering themselves should they leave? It's all now on Chicago Sports Tonight.
From Fox 32 Chicago Sports, this is Chicago Sports Tonight.
All right, welcome to a Thursday night edition of Chicago Sports Tonight. Luke and Ellis with you. Lots to get to. Let's get into it. Bulls practice before playing in Milwaukee tomorrow. Coby White talked. We'll get the timeline for his return from CHSN's Casey Johnson, who will join me here in studio. Cubs opened the door for Shota Imanaga and Kyle Tucker to return, extending qualifying offers after the Cubs turned down Imanaga's 3-year option. Now, both players have till November 18th to decide. Extending offers ensures the Cubs that they get draft picks should they sign elsewhere. I expect Tucker to decline and hit free agency. Imanaga, he may be open to reworking a new deal. Cubs signed Colin Ray to a new 1-year contract, and they declined Justin Turner's $10 million option. Bears spent the day prepping for the Giants. TJ Edwards and Josh Blackwell did not practice because of injuries, but DJ Moore and Rome Odunze were back on the practice field. Giants have dropped 3 straight, and they have surrendered over 30 points in each of those 3 games. Another big opportunity for the Bears offense, right? Now, Odunze's dad, James Odunze, wants his son to get the football more. Rome did not have a catch against the Bengals last Sunday. Monday on Twitter, Rome's father twice reposted a comment saying the Bears should trade his son to a team that will actually throw to him. James Odunze also pinned a tweet that demanded Rome get at least 10 targets per game. Come on, man. He leads the team in targets. He leads the team in receptions. He leads the team in receiving yards. Today, Rome talked about his dad with the media.
I don't make a big deal out of it. You know, obviously he has his opinions, I have mine, and he feels like he needs to voice those things on social media. But you know, that's his prerogative. But you know, he speaks for himself. I speak for myself.
Have you talked to him this week?
Have I talked to him? Yes.
Have you guys discussed those exchanges?
Yeah, we've talked about it. Yeah.
What do you say?
I'll keep that private.
Okay.
Are you mentioned to him that 30 people and a bunch of cameras were asking you about his tweets?
I'm sure he's gonna know from the videos and that are posted after this. But yeah, no, he knows. But no, I won't. We probably won't talk about it after that.
So you said you speak for yourself. He speaks for himself. How do you feel about your situation?
Oh man, I'm happy. You know, I'm just trying to do my job within this, you know, organization. That's, you know, as a leader, as a person, as an individual, and then as a football player. So, trying to excel at a, you know, Hall of Fame level in both those aspects. So, that's all I'm focused on.
So does it bother you, when your dad does that, and then you got to answer questions about it?
No, it really don't. You know, I'm pretty good at answering questions, so I don't mind it. You know, like I said, he has his opinions, and at the end of the day, you know, he's a Rome fan, you know what I mean? He's in full support of Rome Odunze, so that's first and foremost for him, but, you know, I love my pops.
Bears added a defensive end before the trade deadline, but do they still need some help in the secondary? Is Kyler Gordon on pace to come back for the Steelers game in 3 weeks? What about Jalen Johnson? Could he still make it back sometime in December before the season comes to an end? Bears reportedly one of 6 teams who will give Asante Samuel Jr. a tryout. He'll be at Hallis Hall, reportedly, next Tuesday. But he worked out for Carolina on Wednesday, Packers today, Vikings on Friday, 49ers Monday, and the Steelers on Wednesday. Cassie Carlson joins us from Hallis Hall, as she always does. Hey, Cass, Asante Samuel Jr., this guy underwent spinal fusion surgery back in April, but he's been cleared for football activities by doctors. Some team execs in the NFL consider Samuel, they thought he was probably the best corner in this year's free agent class, and then he went through the surgery. What are you hearing at Hallis Hall, And does this mean Kyler Gordon, may not be ready to come back November 23rd?
Yeah, I think it's an interesting conversation to have. I think right now you look at this Bears defense, specifically on the defensive line and in the secondary, and they just simply need depth. When we talked to Ben Johnson about Kyler Gordon last week, he said that they expected it to be a short stint of him on IR with that calf and groin injury, so he would be able to return in 2 weeks if he's on pace for that still. I think the thing you want to keep in mind with Kyler Gordon is he unfortunately has a history of these soft tissue injuries that keep popping up season after season, and although he got extended and we know the difference maker he is when he's on the field, if he can't be available, that's the most important thing. So it's not really too surprising to me that the Bears are bringing in Samuel to see how he could potentially fit into this team, on this scheme, in Dennis Allen's defense. And I know talking to Dennis Allen today, he was pretty pleased with how C.J. Gardner-Johnson played, just because he felt like he stepped in and was able to play in that slot corner position and pick up really where he left off back when he was in New Orleans with Dennis Allen. But I think right now you're kind of looking at the rest of the secondary, and you compare who they have right now with Deshaun Wright in particular, Nick McLeod. Those are backups, and they still have to go against some elite receivers, mainly Justin Jefferson. When you're looking at who they're going to play in the division, you have the Lions Week 18 with those receivers as well. And I don't know that the corners are in particularly cut out or the top tier talent that you need to have in order to limit those wide receivers. When it comes to Jalen Johnson, your shutdown corner for the Bears, you want to see him come back. The good news is he has been around the building and in the locker room, and he's releasing some docu-series about his recovery time from the surgery that he had on his core and groin. That's something that I think we're waiting to hear an update from on the status of Jalen Johnson, but they need elite corners. I think there's no shortage of that. You can't have enough when you're looking at a roster, especially as you're looking at where this team stands right now with their record at 5-3, being in the hunt potentially in looking at a wild card berth. You want to have as many weapons as possible on that defense.
I'm really glad you brought up Kyler Gordon's availability, because it has been questionable. He has suffered through his share of soft tissue injuries. All right. You touched on Dennis Allen, coordinator day at Hallis Hall today, starting with the defensive coordinator. What was his response to the wild fourth quarter against the Bengals?
Yeah, I think his message, and it kind of felt like a head coach message too, and him being a former head coach, is that they just need to finish games. And he said they felt like they did a good job up until the final 4 minutes of that game when they allowed those 2 touchdowns and suddenly things took a crazy turn. Looking to just put away games, and I think that's a consistent message with really the entire team. And Ben Johnson and what he said about having that killer instinct, that bodes for the defense as well, that they want to have the killer instinct to get the offense back on the field, take away the ball. And of course, that Tremaine Edmonds pick 6 that was called back was unfortunate, but they shouldn't be even in that situation. So Dennis Allen also not one to really look in the past too much, especially when a 40-year-old quarterback puts up nearly 500 yards of offense against his defense. So they are mainly focused on the New York Giants and Jackson Dart, the rookie quarterback who was named the starter over Russell Wilson in Week 4. And here's what he had to say about him.
This will be a good challenge for us. You watch this football team, obviously, the loss of Scadaboo, I think, is a significant injury for them, and yet I think they do a pretty solid job of running the football. They're a team that really does a good job of maintaining possession, creating drives, and the quarterback, I think's a good young quarterback. I think he's doing some really good things.
So the Bears will face a rookie quarterback in Jackson Dart, who was named the Giants starting quarterback in Week 4, taking over for Russell Wilson. And he really has this Giants offense playing on a different level and what they're capable of achieving. And it's unfortunate, as Dennis Allen mentioned, that they lost Cam Scadaboo. They had this little bromance going with what they were able to do, especially on the ground. But Jackson Dart, 15 total touchdowns since he was named the starter in Week 14. That's second among all quarterbacks. And his ability to use his legs is something that the Bears are going to have to watch out for, because we know this defense gave up a ton of yards and crucial moments to Tyler Huntley 2 weeks ago in Baltimore.
Yeah, he misses the target that he once had, and that was Malik Neighbors, but we won't get into that right now. What I do want to get into is Bears special teams. I know Richard Hightower also talked to the media. Special teams, Cassie, nearly cost the Bears the game.
Yeah, this is something that I think just in the media room we were interested in hearing what Richard Hightower had to say, because he has some entertaining press conferences at some points, and he's known to be a bubbly guy at times. Not so bubbly today, because there were like five or so special teams blunders. You have the opening kickoff, you have the missed field goal, you have the blocked field goal, and luckily on one of them they had the penalty against the Bengals that they were able to then score a touchdown on. And then you had the onside kick that was recovered by the Bengals. So he kind of addressed them all and pretty much summed it up with that he took responsibility in front of the room, and they're going to, what he said, work their asses off until they can figure out what exactly went wrong, and they can make sure that they clean it up, because special teams never wants to be the reason why a team is losing a game. When it came to the opening kickoff, he said the kick location was not where they wanted it to be, and they didn't have lane integrity. When it came to the onside kick and Daniel Hardy, who touched that ball, he said he just needs to get off his block and go, and because he hesitated, it didn't allow for Rome Odunze to see if that ball was even going to travel 10 yards for it to work to be an onside kick. So Richard Hightower, not a happy camper today.
I want to get to the Giants for a second, Cassie. Man, they spend so much money on their defense, and it's been a huge disappointment. Brian Burns, Dexter Lawrence, Abdul Carter, Kayvon Thibodeau, and they can't get to the quarterback, and they can't stop the run. They're 30th in red zone defense. I'm thinking, oh man, this could be another big game for the Bears run game and Caleb Williams. Am I crazy?
No, I don't think you're crazy, because it's funny, you look at the past 3 weeks and what the Bears had opposing defenses and what they were looking at, and they were all really bad defenses, so they should be able to take advantage of this one yet again. I know you mentioned all those names up front, the defensive line. That's going to be something that we continue talking about heading into this game. Here's what offensive coordinator Declan Doyle had to say about it.
When you look at their talent level on defense, especially with the front, their record isn't very indicative of the talent level on the other side of the ball there. Burns is leading the league in sacks. He's done a good job. And, Thibodeau and Dexter inside, those guys are guys that provide challenges. But obviously, statistically, they haven't played quite as well as they probably would have liked to.
Yeah, so Brian Burns leads the league with 11 sacks, but the way that this run defense has not been able to stop pretty much anything bodes well for this Bears offense. And really what Ben Johnson has done with this offense over the course of the first 9 weeks is pretty impressive, because they're top 10 in every statistical category. So you're looking at the Giants' 31st ranked run defense and the Bears' 2nd ranked rushing attack. I think we're going to see the tandem of DeAndre Swift, who said he's going to be ready to play on Sunday, and Kyle Monangai, who rushed for 176 yards against the Bengals last week, play off one another a little bit more. And Declan Doyle talked about Kyle Monangai today and the rookie and the way he's come in, and he said he is so coachable and he likes to do everything the way he is coached to a T, and talked about Eric Bieniemy constantly being on him. And what they have come to learn about Kyle Monangai is really everything they thought he was going to be when they drafted him, and specifically what stands out is his ability to lower his pads and run through the defenders. And we saw that in Cincinnati, and I think that's something that we're going to continue to see. It kind of builds off of the message that Ben Johnson said yesterday, that he would love to see the competition in that running backs room. And if it's DeAndre Swift and Kyle Monangai seeing how they should split the carries, that's a good problem for this offense to have.
Cassie, great work as always. Thanks for the info. We will see you Friday for Bears Blitz, and you and I will join each other for our Friday edition of Bears CST Daily here in studio as well. Have a good night. Coming up, Casey Johnson from CHSN and the Bulls television broadcasts. He joins me in studio next as we continue right here on Chicago Sports Tonight. Welcome back to CST. Luke and Alice with you. Bulls are beasts of the East. Oklahoma City's loss last night left the Bulls and the world champion Thunder as the league's only 2 teams with just 1 loss. Look who's in the house. Casey Johnson from CHSN, the Bulls TV broadcasts. By the way, you do a terrific job on the sideline.
Just trying to follow your lead, man.
Oh, my gosh. You're bringing back memories all the time. I know you're having a ball out there.
Yep.
Oklahoma City's won 2 more games. The Bulls and the Thunder are in the same league now, right?
Just like we all predicted.
Oh, my God. What the heck is going on?
Well, they're following their formula. They're playing to their identity. They're trying to wear teams down with their depth. They're sharing the basketball. They're playing at a fast pace offensively. They've been better defensively this season, which has been the big change. And they've been lights out in the clutch. I mean, they've been in some close games, and they've just pulled away in the fourth quarter multiple times.
Before Tuesday, did you think this team was capable of a comeback like that?
No, to be frank. And actually, Coby White teased me about that because I was standing there waiting for Nikola Vucevic for our walk-off interview, and Coby walked towards me and said, "You didn't think we were going to win, did you?" And I said, "No, I didn't."
Wow.
I mean, it's like
Right.
they're down 24 points, right? And Sixers are a good team this year. So, no, I didn't think that. But I will say this, being around this team, there is a strong confidence. You feel it in the locker room. These guys like each other. They don't care who gets the headlines. They don't care who does the scoring. They're using depth as a weapon. And look, I brought up Coby White. They haven't even had their best player play.
It's amazing.
Yet. So this is a pretty impressive start.
Is this the team, the type of play that Billy Donovan always wanted from his Bull squad?
That's a great point because this, I think, speaks to Billy Donovan's best attribute as a coach.
Yeah, his inner self, his personality. I think back to his days at Florida.
Right, but what I'm saying, like, he coaches to his personnel. So
Right.
to answer your question, Lou, is absolutely yes. He prefers to play up-tempo, prefers to push the pace. But you get a guy like DeMar DeRozan on your team, a Hall of Famer, he's not going to play at that style, right? So what does he do? He builds the offense around DeMar's strengths. Some people might find that a weakness, like changing your identity. I think it's a strength because you play to your personnel. But this is his preference, is to play this style of pace.
All right, we're 7 games in. If you ask the players, they'll tell you, and I know they have told you inside the locker room after games or on the court when you do your interview, we haven't proved anything yet.
Right.
What have they proved?
Following up on that point, that was actually my most impressive takeaway from that post-game locker room in that Philly
That they
victory.
understand that.
No, everyone was like, as reporters, you know, we kind of come up with the theme of the line of questioning. It was like signature victory, great comeback. We're like, no, we were terrible in the first half. We cannot play that way and expect to win. So to your point, here's what they have proven. They've proven that their depth is a weapon. And if they continue to play to their style, trying to wear teams down with their pace and the number of bodies they're throwing at you, they could make some noise. Let's not forget the Eastern Conference is down this season. There's a lot of opportunity in that conference. And privately, the Bulls know that, and you can feel them sense that.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's not a strong defensive team, but I think you'd be hard-pressed to find another team in the NBA that works harder than the Bulls.
Well, that to me has been the biggest adjustment. So last season you saw the offensive transformation going from that slow it down half-court style featuring DeMar DeRozan to the number 1 pace in the NBA. So this is the second season of that offensive identity. What have we heard since the first day of training camp and media day? We need to be better defensively. We need to take more charges. We need to play more physically, get into screens earlier, get our bodies into plays. That's the theme that you hear a lot. The Bulls right now, as you and I sit here and talk, Lou, are 11th in the league in defense. Now, that is no great shakes. You don't throw a parade for that. But from where they were to where they are, they're starting to try to play to that identity. They're also 5th in the NBA in charges taken.
Wow. That'll tell you right there.
They were like bottom of the league all season last year in charges. So they're trying to play more of to the identity that Billy Donovan wants, putting their bodies into plays. Work in progress. They don't have elite individual one-on-one defenders. But if you play responsible team defense, you can accomplish some things in this league.
All right, KC, 2-part question. Why will the Bulls keep playing this well, and why won't they?
If they do continue to play this well, it's because they get Coby White. And, you know, I would assume it was a minor injury. He's been day-to-day. But they get to full strength and continue to use this depth as a weapon and continue to play this well at the defensive end. I'm not worried about their offense. They've got too many offensive weapons. We haven't even mentioned Josh Giddey. He's averaging almost a triple-double.
Right.
Had 2 in a row, first time since back in our
MJ.
era, MJ.
Yeah.
So that I'm not worried about their offense. If they continue to play this well, it's because they continue to play physically, defensively, and use their depth. If they don't continue to play this well, it's because they just lose track meets. Because, again, I'm not worried about their offense. They're going to score all season long. They're going to put up big numbers offensively. Defensively, there will be times they're going to have trouble stopping teams.
All right, speaking of the offense, the leading scorer, Coby White. What's the latest on him? When is he coming back?
So we actually spoke to Coby today for the first time in a while. Since the last time he tried to ramp up and suffered a little bit of a setback with some tightness in that calf muscle. the plan, and we all know plans are fluid and things can happen, especially with a calf, which is a tricky situation. The plan is for him to start practicing, taking contact with the team next week. And if that goes well, the window for his return to play in games is that West Coast trip, which starts a week from Sunday in Utah. I'm not saying he's playing that day in Utah. I'm saying that's when the window of opportunity opens. So look for him in 10 days for that window of opportunity to open.
All right, they're in such a great rhythm right now offensively. When Coby White comes back, do you worry at all about it ruining the chemistry?
I have some fun with this because I've been getting that question a lot on Twitter, email, etc. And first of all, no offense, I find it preposterous. He's your best offensive player, okay? And to your point, Coby, we asked him that directly today, okay? So we're getting good info.
We're on the same wavelength
and
here.
we're getting some good info for you.
I love it.
Coby said, look, the style of play that we play are my strengths, quick decisions, driving lanes, three-point shots. This is the way I play basketball. Plus, he directly said, I am not a ball stopper. And he's not. He's the best offensive player.
So he is not DeMar DeRozan. He is not Zach LaVine.
And he's not a selfish player.
You're
he
right.
has the ability to put up points in a hurry, and when you are struggling offensively, he has the ability to carry a team single-handedly because he is your best offensive player. But did you watch the end of the season last season when he played alongside Josh Giddey?
He was great.
Incredible.
He was great.
So I'm not worried about that at all.
I think he was maybe the biggest reason why they went 15-5 in those final 20 regular season
Him and Giddey,
games.
right.
Yeah.
So to me, this is a strength, and I'm having some fun with it because I find like you're worried about disrupting rhythm when you're adding your best player.
Yeah. All right, let me give you a wrap-up because at the beginning of the season, the Bulls over-under was 33.5, and this guy said to me, we're in our office, and he's like, got to be the over. I mean, because they're never going to quit with Billy Donovan. And you said they'll never tank, no matter how bad it gets.
Well, I'm not. Yeah, go ahead.
Is this a 45 or 50 win team now?
Let's slow our roll a little bit. I mean, 45 I can see, 50.
Well, I at first had only 50, and I said, okay, I know KC's going to pull me down. So that's why I threw the 45 in there. Tell me they're going to win more than 40.
I think they're in that 40 to 45 range, but I'm terrible at predictions other than the fact I did tell you that taking the over on that was the biggest no-brainer in the history of gambling, and I'm not a gambler.
It was such a no-brainer that I said, wait a second. The odds makers are smarter than Luke and Ellis. Something's happening here. They're going to take my money as usual.
Well, and like, I mean, beyond the fact of their style of play and they won't tank, they also, the East is just so average. It's like, how can you not take that over? So I've got them winning, 40 to 45 games.
All right, thanks to KC for joining us earlier. We'll be right back here on Chicago Sports Tonight Daily. Welcome back here to Chicago Sports Tonight. Luke and Ellis with you. Busy weekend of sports coming up here on Fox 32 Chicago. Tomorrow night, we'll bring you Bears Blitz, Cassie Carlson, Big A, Anthony Herron, and myself. That'll come your way at 6:30. Also tomorrow night, college football fans, Northwestern and USC here on Fox 32, and our coverage starts at 8 o'clock. Blackhawks are in Calgary tomorrow night. Bulls have a doubleheader this weekend. They're in Milwaukee against the Bucks on Friday night, and then they've got Cleveland on Saturday night. That is going to do it for tonight's show. Thanks to our very own Cassie Carlson from Hallis Hall and Casey Johnson from CHSN, both joining us here in studio. Tomorrow, more on the Bears with Cassie. Jesse Rogers, he'll stop by to break down the World Series and baseball free agency. Plus, our good friend Nick Costos joins us to give us his best plays for the weekend so we all make some money. Till then, thanks for watching. See ya.